Tonight on Slayed by Reality, the recap from hell. What is up, everybody? Welcome to the most shocking recap ever. That's right, we're gonna give as many shocks as our episode of The Bachelor tonight, which left us with exactly 0 shocks. You know, not a single one. There was no shock. Like, what a waste of an episode. Like, when we actually boil it down, like we're to the final 2, and then we go through the whole episode, and we're essentially back to the final 3. Like what a total waste. All we saw was Clayton make an absolute buffoon of himself. You know, Clayton clearly not caring about other people. Clayton not having any clue what love is, very, very clearly. Like and then him just embarrassing himself in front of his family. It's like you almost feel bad for the guy for just how clueless he was. You know, not for the reasons that they were trying to make us feel bad for him, but just how not even connected to reality this man is. And when like the inevitable, oh, I'm gonna go after Susie comes out at the end, like it just negates everything we just watched for the past 2 hours. All right. Yeah, after all this build up, tomorrow night better not be a letdown. You know, we were promised some shock. Give us some friggin' shock already. Like, give us something. Like, don't just give us people trying to be martyrs and trying to blow up the last final 2. Give us something like we actually don't see coming. That would be very, very much appreciated. You know, Clayton's going in with the narrative that Susie left. When we saw what actually happened, you know, Clayton had his temper tantrum and told her to leave. You know, that's not Susie leaving. That was him telling her to leave. And honestly, like if you go back to last week, she still looked like a person who could have been convinced to stay. He was the one who blew that all up. And you know what, Clayton, I really feel for you, because I hate it when I create a situation and then when I don't want that situation to continue to happen, it still continues to happen. Oh yeah, I really feel for you, Clayton. You know, like he set a trap for himself and then walked into it, and is now crying out for help, and we're supposed to feel for him. And I just can't. You know, he's trying to blame Susie. He's trying to blame Susie because she told him to fully explore the other relationships. And you know what? Woe is Clayton. Just too much. Raise your hand if you don't feel sorry for Clayton. You know, let's get both hands up in the air for this one, because I like no sympathy for this man at all whatsoever. All right, let's get into our rose ceremony from hell. Clayton is laying it all on the line. Every truth will be told. Except for that he told Susie he loves her more than he loves the other 2. Except for that truth. We'll skip over that one. We won't include that truth. We'll just do everything to make the situation as terrible as possible to absolutely destroy these other 2 relationships. Except we'll leave out that one detail. Like I said before, Clayton is just doing everything in his power to be the martyr. That is what he wants to be in this situation. He doesn't want to be held accountable for his words and his actions. He wants to be pitied and like have people feel for him. But you know what? We aren't doing it. Shockingly, after that reveal, Rachel and Gabby aren't pleased. And like, can you blame them? This is like the worst way to do this. And it's fine that he wants to be truthful and honest with them, but don't do it in a group setting. Take Rachel aside, tell her what happened. Take Gabby aside, tell her what happened. Don't just do it in front of both of them. It's like the worst way that you could have delivered that information, because it takes away that connection. It shows how little respect you have for these two individuals. And it shows that, you know what, you really chose Susie over them. Clayton says he hates hearing them cry, but can't even bother to go and comfort either of them. Rachel is just bawling on the stairs. All Clayton had to do was walk 10 feet down the stairs and make sure that she was okay. And you know what? If Rachel says, "Get away from me," then he leaves. He can go see Gabby, ask her how she's doing. And you know what? If she wants to talk, great. If she wants to tell Clayton to F off, also fine. But instead, he just stood there. To me, that's not the actions of a man who's in love with either of these women. He's doing all these love measurements, but I don't think he has even started to get any love in his meters. Gabby, she comes back to talk to Clayton, and Clayton starts dropping the line, whoever I pick, I love the most. And Gabby very clearly not buying his BS. Love isn't measured. That's what Gabby says. Absolutely, you can't say, well, unless if you're Iron Man, you can say I love you 3,000, but in any other situations, you can't quantify your love to someone. You can't say, oh yeah, I'm like, I don't know, about 80% in love with you. No, you're either all in or all out. And Clayton doesn't get it. He just does not get it. Keeps spouting the same lines, regurgitating the same BS over and over and over again. Rachel also goes to talk to Clayton, and very clearly she was not in a good place when she went into that conversation. And, she shouldn't be expected to understand why Clayton is in love with three women. It just shouldn't happen. I really left that conversation with the impression that Rachel was going to stay, which she ends up doing. She accepts the rose. Gabby does not accept the rose. And in that moment, Gabby became my official favorite of the season. She was already the favorite, but we were stamping official on that. We were given her being the favorite the blue check mark. We were all in on Gabby in that moment, and in retrospect, wish that she would have stuck with that decision and not let Clayton worm his way back into her heart. Rachel, very clearly a bit overwhelmed, just kind of doesn't even know what's happening. She's the only one with a rose. She's not embracing with Clayton. Clayton's off talking to Gabby. Rachel's been totally forgotten, just left at the top of some stairs in Iceland, and she's sitting there and starting to wonder about things. Does this mean less because everybody else left, and I'm just the one who's left? I'm just the consolation prize. And of course you're thinking that. You'd already be thinking that even if Gabby did accept the rose, because to me, Clayton made it very clear that he was going to pick Susie over either of them. And why would you want to be a part of that? I love that Gabby did stand up for herself. Did not love that she decided to give Clayton another chance. You know, he goes and talks to her again, and we're still getting those same lines, the same love measurements, and like just ridiculous. And it just felt so unfair what Clayton was doing to Gabby in their conversation after she said no. Because we all know that he's setting her up to get heartbroken again. Like why is he trying to convince this person to stay with all his heart when he's still hung up on Susie? It just makes no sense to me. And then we get Gabby back at the rose ceremony, and Gabby, will you accept this rose? Yeah. Hilarious. Like the least enthusiastic rose acceptance probably in the history of the show, and it comes in the final 2 of a season. And Clayton says, I don't want to put either of you through this pain. And then it's just days before he's going to break their hearts again. Like he doesn't want to put them through this pain, but is immediately going to go and put them through that pain again. At the end of this rose ceremony debacle, why would either of these women trust him? Like even a little bit. Why would you even remotely trust him? And like I can't even imagine if he is with one of these 2 women now and they watched all this all back together, how could they stay together with him? How? Very, very silly. Let's move on. Hearing Clayton talk to his family about the women just made everything worse. Like really, really did. Pretty clear, like if we needed more clarity that he was intending on picking Susie, we get even more of it during that conversation with the family. And now he's just scrambling. Like he's just scrambling. Like this isn't somebody who's seeking out love anymore. This is somebody just trying to figure out how to salvage this situation. You know, we heard the phrase consolation prize, and that is what the scenario is that we're looking at, unless we have some twist where he decides to go back after Susie, which would never happen in this franchise, would it? Honestly, I checked out quite a bit during the family meetings, just because like at that point we knew that there was a twist coming on the horizon. And you know, I think we were all probably at least 95% certain that it was Clayton finding out that Susie was still in Iceland. And like honestly, how could you even go and meet his family like the day after that rose ceremony? Like Gabby, like she got set up because like obviously Clayton was going to have to go in and tell his family everything. And then Gabby then had the task of like basically, well, one, getting consoled and reassured about what had happened the night before, and 2, like the entire family basically being in shock. Maybe that's what the shock was that they were referring to. The family being in shock over hearing what Clayton had done in the previous week, and then having to meet Gabby. Like they're still trying to wrap their heads around things, and then it's like, oh hey, here's Gabby. Definitely set her up for failure. Still didn't really matter. You know, Rachel comes the next day. Very, very similar. The family seemed, I think, maybe like they liked Rachel more. I don't know. Hard to tell, but doesn't matter because Clayton still wants Susie. He's still thinking about Susie, and he's like once again quantifying things. What I have with Susie is just more betterer than what I have with these other women. I'm pretty sure that's word for word from Clayton's mouth. So yeah, like saying to his family, yep, thanks for meeting these amazing women. I've decided that I'm going to go for the one that you never met. The family was not impressed with him. And then Jesse comes in, and you can see Clayton's parents like doing this double take and like thinking to themselves, when the hell did we have a fourth son? When did we have this fourth son named Jesse? And like, has he been living alone in Iceland all this time? Like, even to add more confusion to the whole scenario. And shockingly, Jesse informs Clayton that Susie is still in Iceland. We end the episode with a friendly reminder that we could have had Rodney as the lead. Well, I think that's enough for tonight. Of course, we'll be back tomorrow with an even more shocking recap ever. As always, everybody, thank you so much for watching. And until next time, we will see you later.